MobileTechB here with my first tutorial video slash show you why I haven't slept. This will be the second recording. This is the first one that actually has the microphone working, I hope. Thank God for my dog ripping the cord out while I wasn't looking. Anyway, this is a mall setup off of a multi-lane bus line, which is not necessarily necessary. I built it so that if I bust stuff out later, which I don't, I'm not busting out anything right now. This is kind of the end of the line, and I'm drawing from a single input line on each side and just spreading it out. But if my factory gets big enough later, as you can see, it's medium size for an early to mid base. Definitely not a late game base, not a mega base. Everything is mostly, zoom in here, mostly solar, just crap loads of solar, and a really messy base over here. This is Mojo D's. I just installed this here. Mojo D created a make everything base, and that's where I kind of got the idea for what I'm doing up here. It took me forever to figure out how to use this thing, and basically I was not turning on a switch right here. I literally probably an hour ago figured out how to use this thing, and I'm simply using it to create my nuclear power stuff. Since I have not played version 1.5, I don't know how the nuclear power works, and what better way to build all that crap that I might not use just yet than using this. And it's a little bit overbearing. I do not need this many RoboPorts. I'm not going to expand on his base idea, mostly because I don't like using bots to build stuff. I stick very heavy with the belt. I like figuring out the logistics of the belt. As you can see, everything in my whole base is belted, with the exception of the bots dragging stuff down to this little thing that he created. It's very unique. But what I've done here, this was a very small mod I found online. I'll link in the credits to who created the original one. But it was very small. It did not have that much. And what I've done for my intents and purposes is I added in, they didn't have belts, they didn't have any of this stuff at the top. They were missing the version 1.5 inserters and a couple other things. And what I did was originally just added 2 RoboPorts on the side to cover the generation or the building of it, because God knows you wouldn't want to build this by hand if you could help it. Unfortunately, I've basically rebuilt it by hand. Added in some RoboPorts on the left, and other than that, I've changed pretty much everything. I've got the belt line here to create belts, underground belts. Originally, I relied on restricting the chests to restrict how much stuff was created, and I was using steel chests, and this was kind of a mall to come pick up items after they got made. I didn't have a whole lot of robots. I only had a couple hundred robots. I think I got another machine over there just building them and throwing them in. I'm probably up to 1,000 or so now. Holy crap, yeah, almost 2,300. What I've done here with these circuits, and again, for lack of, I've not been able to find a good explanation of how these work, and now I kind of understand. Getting the light to light up again was harder than getting the entire thing to run, just simply because I only want it to light up when something on this line is being produced. So if let's use a line here, if I up the quantity to 500, that light lights up, so I know stuff's being made here. If I come back in 15 minutes, that light's still going, I know that I've done something wrong. It shouldn't be building wire still. So it kind of is a nice indicator that it's, one, A, working, after I've hit the switch, and 2, it's not, I hadn't screwed something up and it's working properly. The combinators are hooked to the network through this red cable here. It runs all the way to the top. It throws over to this big electric pole, and then over here to this big electric pole, and then it's fed into this decider combinator that receives all the input from the entire logistics network. It then subtracts out, or subtracts basically anything that I have over here. If I have a request for 1,000 of something over here, and in the logistics network it only has 500, it subtracts that 500 out and leaves me with the output of whatever I requested sent across on this secondary green network. So if I go here, throw this green wire up again, it built that really quickly. Let's make 800 of it, and I point at this pole, or any of these poles that are on this green sub network here. It shows 284 and declining again. That's how many is being requested. That's how many it needs to build, and each one of these arms individually hooked up to a green wire on this network, or each one of these inserters, and each one of these inserters has a simple enable condition of if the whatever is in the box is greater than 0 on the network, it will turn on and start throwing stuff in the box. So for the most part, there'll be a small buffer of 1 or 2 in the, or 3 in the, or 4 in the machine itself, but for the most part, it will get the exact quantity that I want and have it ready to be requested or ready to throw out if I start building something. The way that I used the combinators over here is I feed in off of the constant combinator. Let's go to one that's actually working. I feed in the amount that I want to request over here to this. It adds 0 and outputs it back out. And the reason I'm doing that is I don't want to accidentally connect this network to this network, and this is something that I did not understand, and I'm a little bit upset that it took me so long to comprehend this, because this is what threw me off so much about the entire circuit network. If you connect a network to the back end or the input side of a combinator, and then you exit with a different wire, it doesn't have to be a different color, but the exit point makes a separate network. If you connected 2 or 3 things to this and those wires touched here on this input, it would add everything, it adds whatever the signal is all together. So if I was trying to check some stuff over here and I threw this directly over here, it would add everything together and I'd end up with a god-awful jumbled mess. So throwing it through a combinator splits the network from here to here. So everything that's over here is separate. If I point here, all those are all my requests that are on that red network that I've added into my constant combinators right at this moment. Over here, this is everything in the entire logistics network. If I had connected this wire directly to something that this wire is connected to, I would end up adding all that together, and then on this red network everything would be a god-awful jumbled mess, or on this separate network. Lights are working for the most part. I will probably link this blueprint when I get done making sure that it works. I did have one error, and I don't know if you have tried to fool with these combinators that much. If you read from the RoboPort, it gives you the entire logistics network's total items. If you negate that, it'll give you the negative value of those items, and then you can add in. Basically what I'm doing is I negate it here, so it makes all those items come out as negative items instead of positive items, and then all of the items that are less than 0 I send out again. And the reason I'm doing that is, for some reason, when I negate those numbers, as you see I got a red circuit at the top. I think the game eats more than's actually available in some weird place, or something pops in or out of the network that shouldn't. I'm not quite sure what happens, but that messes up my entire logic on the other side, because it will start requesting three red circuits or 3 robots for no reason, because it gets added into the total up here. So to fix that problem, I simply negate the numbers, and any number that is less than 0 gets thrown out on the output. So that way, if I had that 2 red circuit, doesn't get thrown over here onto this green network as a positive 2 red circuit, meaning that if I were generating red circuits here, it would try to build it. And I noticed it did it with some random minor things: green circuits, red circuits, gears. Red circuits and gears have been what I've seen prevalent, and for some reason 3 construction robots keep popping up on there. I'm not quite sure. If somebody knows why that happens, if you could let me know, that would be great. But that's the workaround. That fixes it. It works. I'm going to go ahead and add in the rest on these constant combinators of everything that's on the line. And hopefully my audio recorded and you like this video.